Greetings. I would like to take a moment to share some insights about my identity. I'm Jack, a 42-year-old man living in a peaceful town in Ohio. The last few years have passed with a serene stillness, characterized by a lack of notable occurrences, like Kayla and I settled in this old house. Almost 3 years have passed since my wife, Sarah, departed from this life. The experience of cancer is undeniably harrowing. Don't you think so? Since that moment, I have been dedicated to fostering Kayla's growth on her own. At 19 years old, she is currently attending the local community college. I will present the truth as it is. The path has been filled with obstacles. I invest endless hours at the factory to secure our existence. Although Kayla has been taking on extra shifts at the diner to help out, we find a way to make things work, even if it leaves little room for dating or a social life. On certain evenings, I return home feeling completely drained, barely able to keep my eyes open long enough to heat up a frozen meal. A man harbors specific desires. Given my overflowing schedule, it appears I lack both the time and the energy to forge new connections. On many evenings, I feel lucky if I can stay awake long enough to catch the news. Yet, it is essential for a man to find a way to alleviate some tension occasionally. The atmosphere in the office that day was thick with an unmistakable tension. A machine broke down, and our supervisor was unyielding, demanding that we tackle the production delays without delay. Upon my arrival home, I sensed a tension within me, coiled like a tightly wound spring, while Kayla busied herself at the diner. I believed the house was mine to explore at my leisure for a time. I grabbed a chilled beer from the fridge and headed upstairs. As I removed my boots, I unfastened my belt and surrendered to a deep sense of relaxation, welcoming the only approach I genuinely grasped. I played some music to mask any noise. I chose to maintain the confidentiality of our discussion. In the quiet solitude, shielded from the inquisitive ears of those nearby, I became completely absorbed in the moment. With my eyes firmly closed, my trousers gathered at my ankles. In that moment, a disquieting hush filled the air. The front door stood silent, while her footsteps on the stairs gradually dissolved into an unsettling void. In an instant, the door to my bedroom swung wide open. Kayla stood in the doorway, frozen, her eyes wide and round like saucers. "Oh my goodness! Father!" She let out a cry, quickly raising her hand to shield her eyes. In a whirlwind of urgency, I grasped for something to protect myself, almost losing my balance and tumbling off the bed in the tumultuous effort. "Goodness gracious! Greetings, Kayla. Do you not recognize the significance of knocking?" I lost my poise. Her face turned a deep crimson as she hurriedly exited the room, tripping over her words in a whirlwind of apologies. "I thought you were still at the office." She let out a cry. In a flurry, I hastily pulled up my pants, my face burning with humiliation. "It is entirely appropriate." I called out to her, fully aware that all was not well. "I kindly ask for just a moment of your time, if you please." I heard her retreat to her room, the door slamming shut behind her. I sat on the edge of the bed, my heart pounding, overwhelmed by a tide of pure embarrassment. What could compel me to face her after all that has transpired? After a brief pause to collect my thoughts, I cautiously made my way down the stairs. In the kitchen, I found Kayla, her eyes locked onto the fridge, as though she were trying to memorize everything inside it. As I cleared my throat, a sense of unease washed over me, and I started to articulate my thoughts. "It seems you've come back home sooner than anticipated." She flinched ever so slightly, then shut the refrigerator door with a firm, purposeful gesture. "Certainly," she replied. Given the slow tempo of the day, they opted to let me leave early. "I suppose I should have contacted you through a text message." We remained in a profound silence, the atmosphere dense with unexpressed thoughts, each of us steering clear of the other's eyes. Finally, I took a deep breath and started. "Listen, Kayla, regarding what you witnessed, I sincerely apologize. I'm at a loss for how to begin." She swiftly shook her head. "It's perfectly all right. It's not exactly okay. But you understand what I'm getting at. Shall we simply act as though it never occurred? Then?" Indeed. That's a splendid notion. I consented with haste. It never occurred. This matter shall remain unspoken henceforth. A subsequent, uneasy silence ensued. I am about to indulge in a refreshing shower, she whispered softly, inching closer to the staircase. Indeed, that's a solid suggestion. I responded with a nod. I suppose I'll prepare dinner or something along those lines. She surged up the stairs with remarkable speed. Exhaling deeply, I swept my fingers through my hair. What a calamity, coexisting under the same roof promised to be a profoundly uncomfortable experience for some time. It was undeniably clear. I reached for another beer from the fridge, tilting the bottle to my lips and swallowing half in a single gulp, seeking to calm my racing thoughts. How I wish Sarah were still with us. She possessed an uncanny ability to ease the atmosphere, effortlessly bringing laughter to all around her. Yet she had vanished, left to navigate this chaos alone. I found myself in a tangled web of uncertainty. As I began to gather the ingredients for dinner, a thought crossed my mind. Perhaps it was time to explore the idea of dating once more. Seek an alternative to fulfill my needs to prevent occurrences like this. Yet, the mere thought of stepping into the world and engaging with women seemed utterly draining. For the time being, I must exercise greater caution. Perhaps I should consider acquiring a sturdy lock for my bedroom door and prepare myself for an awkward discussion with Kayla regarding boundaries and privacy. Thrilling experiences lie ahead, that much is certain. The distant sound of the shower cascading from upstairs prompted another weary sigh to escape my lips. Truly, this evening's meal could have greatly benefited from a splash of beer to elevate its flavors. Significantly more beer. After that uneasy experience, I lay awake for hours, finally drifting into a restless sleep. It was probably around 2 a.m. when I felt the mattress gently shift, a warm presence pressing against my back. In my sleepy fog, I initially thought I had wandered into a dream featuring Sarah. As my thoughts started to unravel, a sudden clarity washed over me, revealing the truth that it was Kayla. My heart raced, and my thoughts whirled in a tumultuous ballet as I fought to comprehend the reality that was unfolding before me. Her arm rested gently over my waist, her breath a tender whisper against my neck, and in that instant, every muscle in my body quailed with anticipation. Kayla, I breathed, my voice a soft murmur. What are you currently engaged in? She moved closer, her voice soft and delicate. Rest slipped through my fingers, as my thoughts drifted endlessly to days gone by. I inhaled deeply, struggling to keep my composure. My dear, this is simply unacceptable. Please return to your room. Yet she remained still. Instead, her hold on me grew stronger. I miss Mom, she said, her voice heavy with feeling. There's a longing within me for the of another's embrace during moments of fear or solitude. Her words pierced through me, leaving my chest heavy with an unshakable ache. I understood that I ought to resolutely demand she go back to her room. Yet the anguish in her voice held me back. Following Sarah's departure, we found ourselves grappling with the heavy burden of loneliness, and maybe this was her way of seeking solace. With careful intention, I turned to meet her eyes. In the gentle light, I observed the tears shimmering on her cheeks. My heart pulsed with an intense yearning for her. I feel her absence too. My dear, I responded softly. However, this method does not provide the answer for addressing the issue. She leaned into me, her face nestled against my chest, her shoulders trembling gently as silent tears fell. After a brief pause filled with hesitation, I gently placed an arm around her, giving a soft, reassuring pat on her back. It's okay, I murmured gently. We will endure this challenge with determination. We remained in that moment, Kayla's soft cries echoing around us as I tried to provide comfort, mindful of the boundaries that should not be crossed. Finally, her breaths grew steady, and it struck me that she had fallen into a deep sleep. With a quiet breath, I carefully freed myself from her hold and quietly left the bed. With a gentle embrace, I cradled her in my arms. In my embrace, she appeared fragile and small, a delicate presence that awakened a deep protective instinct within me. I gently lifted her and brought her back to her room, carefully tucking her into bed. As I draped the covers over her, she shifted ever so slightly. "Father," she murmured drowsily, "hush now, return to your dreams." I murmured softly, "All will be well." As I stepped into my room, I settled on the edge of the bed, my head resting in my hands. The situation was spiraling into disorder. Support was crucial, as we sought direction to manage our grief and isolation in more positive ways. Tomorrow, I have decided to begin the quest for a family therapist. Continuing down this path is not an option for us. To ensure mutual advantage, it was crucial to pursue a more promising path. As I settled back again, my eyes drawn to the ceiling, I whispered a silent prayer for Sarah. "I'm pouring my heart and soul into this." "My dear," I murmured softly into the darkness. "At this moment, I find myself seeking your insight." Taking a deep breath, I closed my eyes, longing for sleep to come quickly and bring with it a sense of clarity with the morning light. The next morning, I rose with the feeling of having been hit by a freight train. A persistent throb resonated in my skull, while my thoughts spiraled in chaotic disarray. Facing tasks in this condition seemed completely unfeasible. I quickly crafted a message to my boss, stating that I was dealing with an unpleasant stomach bug. A wave of guilt surged through me for the deceit, yet I realized I was in urgent need of time to unravel the turmoil inside. I settled into the comforting embrace of my bed and slipped into a profound sleep, undisturbed until the sun climbed to its highest point. As I finally gathered the courage to awaken from my dreams, a deep tranquility wrapped around the home. I presumed that Kayla had either been present for her classes or picked up an extra shift at the diner. Regardless of the circumstances, I discovered comfort in the quietude. As I stretched, I wandered out of my room, unconcerned by the lack of clothing. A long, indulgent shower was necessary to wash away my thoughts. As I wandered through the corridor, a yawn slipped from my lips while my fingers lightly brushed against my chest. My mind spun, wrestling with how to maneuver through this dilemma. We undoubtedly needed to engage in a discussion, but how does one even begin such a conversation? Lost in my thoughts, I flung the bathroom door open and was taken aback to my very core. Kayla stood there, wrapped in a towel, focused intently on brushing her teeth at the sink. Startled, she dropped her toothbrush, the sound of it clattering against the basin echoing in the quiet room. In that ephemeral instant, we paused, locking eyes through the mirror's reflection. Then reality struck, and I found myself in a desperate scramble, my hands searching for a towel that was nowhere to be found. "Jesus Christ!" I cried out, frantically trying to conceal myself behind the door. "What draws you back to your roots?" Kayla spun gracefully. With her towel clutched tightly in one hand, she raised the other to shield her eyes from the bustling world around her. "Oh my goodness! Dad, could you please get dressed? I was under the impression you were at work," she exclaimed, a warm blush spreading across my cheeks. I tripped over my own words. I swapped shifts with Amber. "I brought it up to you last night." Had she really? It eluded my thoughts. Last night drifted by in a blur, every instant eluding my grasp like grains of sand. Simply. "Kindly stay indoors, if you would. I am preparing to don my outfit." I hurried away from the doorway and raced to my room, my heart pounding furiously. As I slipped into a pair of sweatpants, Kayla's voice resonated from the hallway. "I'm going to my room," she said, her voice quivering with tension. It might be prudent to start locking the doors in this location. The door slammed closed, and I let out a shaky breath, collapsing onto my bed. I lifted my eyes to the ceiling above. The circumstances were rapidly descending into chaos. We could no longer skirt around each other, perpetually stumbling into one awkward situation after another. It was time to face the issue head-on. A sincere conversation was crucial about boundaries, privacy, and more effective ways to handle our grief. It would certainly present its share of challenges. It was an unavoidable necessity. Summoning my courage, I approached Kayla's room, hesitating just outside her door. I took a deep breath and tapped softly on the door. "Kayla, we must have a conversation," I stated, my tone steady. A moment later, the door creaked open, unveiling her face, still tinged with embarrassment. We discovered that we were easing into a state of undeniable awkwardness. I found myself settled on the desk chair, observing Kayla as she relaxed, her legs crossed comfortably on her bed. I ran my fingers through my hair and began to speak. It is essential that we face the developments that have been taking place. Such situations should not persist. Kayla nodded, her eyes wandering from my own. I see what you mean, Dad. I sincerely regret the events of last night. Lately, I've been surrounded by a fog of uncertainty. I leaned my body forward, resting my elbows on my knees. Confused? In what way? My beloved? She bit her lips softly, her fingers engaged in a restless ballet on her lap. Since the day Mom departed, you have been my unwavering pillar, displaying remarkable strength and endless encouragement. Lately, I've been navigating a whirlwind of feelings. An oppressive weight lodged itself in my stomach as a dark suspicion began to form. I wished I had been wrong. What kinds of feelings are you going through? Is that you, Kayla? I asked with a hint of apprehension. She took a shaky breath. I hold a strong conviction. I think I'm starting to fall in love with you, Dad. My goodness. This surpassed my deepest anxieties. I leaned back, my thoughts swirling in a storm of creativity. Is that you, Kayla? My beloved? Not at all. I whispered gently. What you described does not embody love. It's not quite what you envision. Her eyes filled with tears. Still, it strikes a chord with remarkable genuineness. You linger in my mind endlessly. When I laid my eyes on you yesterday. Halt. I raised a hand to interject. Stop this at once. This situation is far from healthy. Is that you, Kayla? We are enveloped in sorrow and isolation. As everything has transformed into an intricate tapestry of feelings. What are you experiencing? It is not affection. The situation is quite perplexing. A longing for closeness that has morphed into something distorted. With a resolute shake of her head, she conveyed her unwavering stance. You seem to be missing the essence of the situation. I recognize my feelings. Taking a moment to inhale deeply, I let the air escape from my lungs. My dear, please listen to me. I am your father. Certainly, a stepfather. Still, I have cared for you since your beginnings. You are experiencing a phenomenon referred to as genetic sexual attraction. Such events may emerge within familial settings, especially in the realm of separation. However, it falls short of capturing the essence of genuine love. To respond to these feelings would result in considerable damage. For the both of us. Kayla's face contorted in despair, tears streaming down her cheeks. What should I do next? So, you expect me to set aside my feelings? I moved to settle next to her on the bed, ensuring that we keep a considerate space between ourselves. Not at all. Dear, we will make certain that you obtain the support you require. Professional guidance. A trusted companion to whom you can reveal your innermost reflections. Who is able to help you explore these emotions in a positive way? She gently wiped away her tears. A gentle sniffle slipped from her lips. You might view me as unappealing and conflicted. I responded quickly, no. You are neither unappealing nor imperfect. You find yourself in anguish and confusion. Just as I discover my own essence. Together, we will find our way through this journey. Are you okay? Together as one. That approach is simply not suitable. For a brief instant, I came to a halt. Gently, I rested my hand on her shoulder. I hold you dear, Kayla. Similar to my daughter. That will stay the same. Nevertheless, the attraction you are feeling. It feels inauthentic. We must address this issue head-on before it escalates into something far more serious. She nodded, each movement measured and intentional. Her breath caught, accompanied by gentle sniffles. Indeed, quite satisfactory. Father, I will endeavor to try. That's my girl. I noted with a subtle smile. Would you like me to whip up some lunch as we start our search for a suitable therapist? It might be beneficial to create some fresh guidelines for our household. The significance of privacy and the inviolability of personal space. In addition to various factors. Walking down the stairs together. A delicate spark of hope ignited inside me. The path unfurled infinitely ahead of us. At last, everything was revealed. Let us embark on the path toward healing and advancement. It might not be straightforward. Still, we would confront it together. As a collective united by affection. With crucial boundaries set in place.